Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you how to make a hinged lid box. So this is a really cool box because it's a nice size. It's 4.5 high, so stood it's 4.5 from the bottom up. It's 5.5 wide and 3.25 deep. So you can get quite a lot of things in there depending on the occasion, on the papers that you're going to use to decorate the outside. So things like Father's Day, you know, you can get cans. You can. Look, here's 2 cans. These aren't Pepsi, but you can put beer in there. You could put gin and tonics, things like that come in cans now. There's also buying wrapped biscuits, you know, take them out of the packets that you've bought them from, keep them in their cellophane wraps and pop them in there. You've also got sweets, you've got handmade items, you can do socks and scarves and silk scarves, and oh, it just goes on. You know, anything that's going to fit in that kind of size box, this is great to do. So I'm going to show you how to put this all together. You can see there when you close it up, it fits really nice. So it's not a loose lid, it's a nice fitting lid. And then you could wrap it, you know, you can decorate it with ribbons, you can put tags on there and embellishments. So it's up to you how far you want to go with that. It would equally look just as nice sealed with a tag on under the tree. So let's get started and I'll show you how to make this. And a big thanks to everyone that has subscribed already to my channel. I do appreciate you. And yeah, I hope you like the videos that I'm bringing out. Obviously I'm doing quite a lot of Christmas at the moment because I think it's handy, cost of living, etc. It's really nice to be able to make your own things. Now if you're like me, you've got a lot of cardstock lying around, and this is more like a paper card. I'll just use this because I can put lines on the scores. I'm going to show you the card. I have made it in card, and we'll move on to that when we do the panel decorations. I'll explain that to you. So what you need is 3 pieces of card. So you take 3 pieces, you're going to make these 2 out of 1 piece, this one out of another, and then this comes out of the final piece of A4. Okay, you can also use your 8.5 by 11, 12 by 12 as well. So let's start with the base. So with the base, this, I've put notes on here as well. So it's 8.5 inches wide and it's 5.5 inches in width as well. So when you've got it at the 8.5, you're only going to make 2 scores, and they're at 3.25 and 7.75. I've already done them, but 3.25, 7.75. Okay, so that's your scores on that. Now with the other ones where you took the 2, so out of 1 sheet of paper you're going to cut out 2 that are 6 by 5.25. So cut your cardstock to 6 that way, then turn it around and cut it off at 5.25, and then another one at 5.25. So you've got 2 identical pieces there. You're going to score them with the long side, so when you've got the 6 inches you're going to score at 3/4, okay, and then 5.25, either 3/4, spin it around 3/4, but so you don't get lost with the spinning because they are 1 inch on the other side. I recommend you do 3.25, 5.25, spin it around, do 1 and 4.25. Okay, you do that on both of those pieces, and then finally you've got this piece which is the lid and the back of the box, and you're going to just put that at 7.5 because it's 9 and 13/16. Now there's a reason why it's 9 and 13/16, and that's to get an extra little bit in this panel than what you've got in your base panel. Okay, so your base panel is 3.25, and because the lid has little wraps and everything around it, you want to make sure it fits and it's not too tight. So if you cut your cardstock to 9 and 13/16, if you haven't got a 16th measure, then just go slightly over on the 8ths, and then you just score it at 1 and 6.5 this way. Okay, so when it's at the 7.5, you just score it at 1 and 6.5. Then you spin it around, and then what you're going to do is score it at 1 and 5.5. Then what I want you to do, to save measuring 16ths and everything like that, just spin it around 180 degrees and then just score 1 at this point. Okay, and that will give you that 3.25 plus a little bit. All right, so that's what you want to achieve by that. It's 5/16. So 3 and 5/16 you're getting that instead of 3.25. Now what's really good about this one is you've got your lid already built into it, and then I'm going to remove this because we're done with this piece now. This little bit here came from the base. When I cut the base, if you cut the whole length of your card to 5.5 wide all the way up, look, and then you're left over with this piece on A4, and this will be a reinforcement for inside your box just to make it that little bit stronger in case you're putting heavy things in there. So if we start, well, we'll start with the base now. I've got it in my hand. So what I like to do with the base is where you've got this smaller 3/4 of an inch tab here, this bit is actually going to be the piece that is here. So this piece here. So you've got your two sides coming in and then this bit. And I think it looks really nice if you round the corners. If you haven't got a corner rounder, you can do it with scissors or just leave it square, it's fine. Or even if you wanted to cut it at a 45-degree angle, you could. But I just think that if you've got a crop or anything like that, that you can cut 1/2 inch rounds, a punch or anything, then just pop that in and it just gives it a nicer little look to it, okay? So we just do that, and then we're just going to literally score the 2 lines, and that's your base done. Now what this is your base, this is your front, and that's that little piece that sits over the top. So that's one section done. Then we'll do the sides next. We'll leave the other one to the end. So this is 6 by 5 1/4. We've scored it at 3 1/4 and 5 1/4, and then we've turned it around and scored it at 1 4 1/4 here. So we're just going to fold these in. Just always reinforce your scores as well that you've made. It always looks better, it's neater, it won't bend and make buckly shapes. Now you do the same with both of these. I only need to do one because I've already got one prepared for you to see. And what you're going to do is, if whatever part is facing you, okay, so you've got, when you turn it around, you're always going to have one edge facing you. Always work in the middle and go out to the point. So what you're doing is making like little tabs. So when I turn it around, I don't want to cut this way. I want to cut from the inside out to that corner. So I'm getting an angle. I'm not going straight up there. I'm coming in a bit. So turn it around, not straight, in a bit. In a bit from the line towards the middle. When I say in a bit, I mean towards the middle, not towards the edge. And you just go around, and then you end up with just a slight offset curve, and that just stops any bits showing. All this is going to be inside the box pot from the top piece. So we just do that to both of those. Okay, so we'll pretend we've done that one. And then finally this one. So again, what we do, sorry, I knocked the camera. Oh, I'm so bad. So up this end where we did that 3 5/16, where we've got this little bit here, this is our lid, and all this around it is part of the lid. So we don't want to get rid of any of that, but where I've put the squiggle line, we just want to take the edges off. We need to keep this bottom piece, and you're literally just going to be removing these edges, okay? So this is going to be the back of the box and the base that fits to the base. So, and you keep these square, you don't do your angles on these, you just take them off squarely. You just make like a giant T. Yeah. So I'll just amuse myself, guys. I usually do. So you're just going to cut these away like that. We don't need those. We need all of that, but we don't need those 2 pieces. Then what you do is you cut down. So we're going to cut down, and we're going to cut down square to the line, and we're going to go right on the line, if not inside a little bit, but you don't want to go outside and have that crease in there. Now with the tabs, we're going to be cutting a little piece like that. So where we went from towards the centre out, we're coming from the outside in now. So we're cutting that part away, and then the edge to the line. And you've only got 2 to do. So we're coming in here, we're cutting away on the outside. Okay, so we're concentrating on these tabs. Just make sure it goes up to the line like that. So we've got our tabs, and all these little pieces reinforce, like so. They just all got to be going around and around like that. So there you go. Now moving on to decorating. So I've already decorated them, but I'm going to explain to you what you do. Now it's really important. Now I've done a pattern. If you've got a pattern that doesn't matter which way up, then don't worry about it. If you've got a pattern that does, then you need to know. Okay, so this was the base where we rounded the corners. Now this is the front of the box. So if you imagine, if you put the base down and then imagine that you want your pattern to be going up, so feet, head, okay? So you want your pattern to be going up towards this tab. Now these are all 1/4 inch smaller than the actual panel, and I'll give you the measurements of them in a minute. When you do the side panels, so where we did 2, they're actually vertical. So you need the narrow part across here, and you need the trees again, head, feet. I always say head and feet because it's obvious when you stood up, that's how you are. Head's at the top, feet's at the bottom. If not, you're quite clever. And I definitely couldn't do that. So, again, these 2 are this way around. So these are 3-inch wide cut, and these are 5 1/4 inch wide. And the height is 4 1/4, okay? Now, depending on how many panels you're cutting, we'll go through it again in a minute anyway. Now, the T, the lid, is interesting. So the back are going to be feet at the bottom, head at the top. But the lid, I've done it, you'll see I've done it upside down. The trees are upside down if you look at the T. Now the reason being, this is going to go on the back and this is going to come over, and your front is going to be here. So for me, I want the trees to all be flowing the same way on the front. When I turn it around on the back, you see the trees are upright. Then you just make sure that these panels go on with the trees upright, which we'll go through in a minute. Now I'll just quickly give you the measurements of those panels so that you can cut them all in bulk if you want to. So like I said, they're all 5 1/4 inch wide. Okay, so these three are 5 1/4 inch wide, and you cut 2 at 4 1/4, and this one is 3. Okay, so you cut that one to 3. Now these ones are 3 inches wide. Okay, so you're going to cut those to 3 inches wide, and then they are also 4 1/4 high because you've got the same height as the sides of your box. Then the only other thing to do are the strips around the edges if you want to do those. So these are all 3/4 of an inch in depth because that's an inch panel. So 3/4 of an inch. This one is 3. This one is 3, and this one's 5 1/4 like these. So obviously depending on how many different types of paper you're going to do and how you get the best out of them and things like that. So that's all you need to do with that. That's the box part that goes in the middle, the reinforcement bit that we had left over. Now with this one, it's up to you if you want to decorate it. If you are, then I suggest you do it before you pop it in the box because it's easier than trying to put it inside of the box. So we're going to start with the base panel. So this is the front, so the front and the base. Now what you need to do is glue everything to it. So make sure your trees are upright, okay? So make sure your trees are upright. They're going to go on there upright, so they go like that. And then this one would have to go that way because you want your trees to be upright. So they need to be glued like that. So now we can turn them over knowing that we've got them on the right way. So we've got our feet and our heads going out from that pattern. I'm just going to grab some glue, and hopefully this will be a nice quick glue to dry. So you put it on the right side, put the glue on the right side at the bottom, the base of your trees or your pattern. That's the only bit you're going to glue. So you need to make sure that the glue's on there, and then what I like to do is get it roughly in place, then turn it over, and you can line up the score lines and the edges, pull that out completely. You don't want to have an overhang. Hopefully you can see that there's a little bit of an overhang. Pull it right over till you can't see it anymore. Make sure that your lines are straight, and then lift it up gently, hold it in place and rub it down. Okay, make sure that's stuck. And then we do the same on this side, so at the base of the trees. Just going to put some glue on the same side as the print paper that you've popped on there. Glue that on, and then again going to put it roughly in place, and you're going to cover that up with that extra panels. Don't worry about glue spilling on the inside of your box, and just take it out to the edge. Make sure it's out to the edge, and make sure that these are lined up, the score lines, etc. The neater that is, the better it will become. So you can see there's glue in there, maybe you can't, but like I say, we've got that extra panel. It's going to cover that up to reinforce. So it also covers workings as well. And then finally, this one can only go one way because you're not going to stick the lid down. Now the best thing to do is put your lid together now. Now you've put all your panels on, stick your lid together. So all we're going to do is just put glue on those little tabs that we made, and they're angled so that really helps so that they don't overlap or anything like that. So just put a bit of glue on each of those, like so, and then you just literally join those two, pop it inside and join those points together there to make the lid, and it'll probably come undone while I do the other side. but then I'll hold them both together in a minute. Pop that down, get that joined up nicely. Got a nice neat edge there, and you can see on the inside the tabs are allowing you to have that room across the top. So just pull this one back in again, make sure it's nice and tight, neat on there, and now I'm just going to pinch those together, let them do their thing while I pop some glue on the right side. Now I've folded this up, so it looks like I'm working on the wrong side, but I've folded the right side up because I don't want to disturb that glue at the top. Like I say to you, always let your always let your glue dry between different jobs, but you know me, I don't do that. I don't practice what I preach, really, do I? So you can see there, you can line up your score lines, fold that over, make sure that you're out to the edge like that, and open it back up, and then we can pop this panel. So you can see the box is coming together nicely, and it's really easy to do this. You know, it takes a little bit of time, but not much really, and it's just nice to have your own boxes, and you can adapt this style. If you just like look at how I've come about making it, and you can adapt this style and start using your 12 by 12s and make really big boxes. So I've just glued this piece here so I can just cover up all the workings now, like that. Make sure it's out to the edge. Now while it's in this point here, this is when I decorate all the inside. So it's all the same sizes, so you'd I wouldn't decorate, actually I wouldn't decorate these two bits, to be honest. You can decorate this side and the lid, but these two bits are going to have these come around and attach to them, and I'd rather cover that up. So decorate these two if you want. You can pop your glue in on these two and the end ones, so the smaller shapes, and then just put some glue onto your sides. So what we'll do is we'll do two sides. So we'll do the back sides first. Said something rude. Oh my word, the child in me. Make myself laugh though. Don't put glue on your backside, but put them on the back sides of these side panels. It's getting worse. Right, lift these two up, pull this one up. Now try and have them so that they're going to be, you know, you're not going to spill too much glue. If you're putting a pattern on, you're not going to be able to see what I'm doing very well, but I'll try and turn it over and let you see. So what we're needing to do is just line these up like so. That's actually pretty good. So you can lay it down. Let's get this bit out of the way so you can see, and then you can just work the inside there and there. And now you could put your pattern paper on if you wanted to while it's in that place. Okay, then we'll turn it over, and then we can just pop the glue onto these two side panels. This is what holds the box together, so make sure you put a good strong glue on there, a wet glue or good tape. You can obviously use your tapes if you want. Just make sure it's a good strong tape, because you don't want your box to fall apart, do you? And then we just lift that up, make sure that the sides are good where they join. It's a bit difficult because I'm working with a wet glue, and we really should be allowing time for it to dry. Then I turn it over. I'm going to try and keep this lid out of the way, and then you can just get your scoring tool inside of there and give that a rub down as well. And I've just slid that completely across there. So slide it back. Just give it a rub down. Make sure it's in the right place. You can check all your lines, etc. And then you just fold this one in, this one over. Then your lid comes over the top and goes on. There you go. We've made a box. So I just think they're really nice, and you can put, you know, like a bit of, you've got this little flap here, so you could put some ribbon around and around to stop it from opening, etc. But if you just wanted to, you could put a little bit of tape on there, or a little bit of blue tack or something like that. Just hold it in place. And then obviously it's a really nice little gift box. So I hope you have fun making these, guys. Give me a like and a comment, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye.